Welcome to Ruger Tech Tips. Today I'm going to show you how to mount a red dot optic on your Ruger Max-9 pistol. So first off, you can see that I have no ammunition on the table. I have a chamber flag in here and of course no magazine. So now I'm ready to work on my pistol. The nice thing about the Ruger Max-9 is that in addition to the tritium fiber front sight, you could also mount a co-witnessed red dot optic. In order to do that, you're going to start with a T10 Torx bit and remove the cover plate. Now, if you're shooting without a red dot optic, always keep the cover plate in place and keep it tight. You'll want to check those screws from time to time. So now that I have the cover plate off, let's just take a quick look at those screws. You can see there's just a little bit of red thread locking compound on there. That's going to last for a long time. You can take these in and you can remove them, you can put them back several times before that will wear out. If you find that your screws are getting loose frequently, use a little bit of blue thread locking compound and apply it directly to the screw, not to the hole. You want to just put that on there, give it a minute or so to dry, and then reinsert those screws. So you can see now I have the mounting base exposed on the slide of this pistol. Before I mount the optic, I'm going to look inside my box for this little envelope, and I'm going to look and see what extra components I have in here. And you can see that in addition to our wrench, there's these two little barrel studs. Now, for most red dot optics, you're going to insert those studs right into the hole in the back here by the rear sight. I'll just point that out. If you're using the Hollow Sun 407K or 507K, that one does not use the studs, but most other brands will. So now we have our rear bosses in place, and that just helps hold the red dot optic in place for any kind of recoil. There's a rear boss and a front boss that will work with any of the J-point or shield type optics. There's various brands. There's a number of optics of the micro red dot style that will fit on this pistol as long as they use that mounting pattern. So I have here a Crimson Trace optic, and this happens to come with a couple of screws. Now, not all optics come with screws, and some of the screws come in different lengths. So it's a bit of a challenge, but what you need are M4 screws in order to mount into the Ruger slide. Now sometimes if the screws are too long and they won't tighten down completely, you actually have to trim the bottom of the screws, and you can do that with just a Dremel or a file. Very, very gently trim a little bit off the bottom of your screws if needed. Now these fit perfectly, so we won't have any problem. In addition to that, again, follow your optic manufacturer's instructions in terms of batteries. You can see that this one has the battery in the bottom, some have the battery in the top, some have it in the side, but you want to insert the battery if necessary, insert any kind of rubber gasket or cover if necessary, whatever is recommended by the manufacturer of your optic. I'm going to set this on here. It sits nice and evenly on those bosses. It's flat, it's flush with the slide. Now I can go ahead and I can insert these screws. And in this case, these are Allen screws, so I'm just going to change my bit. And I will tighten these down on the slide. Now again, check with your manufacturer, but there's different torque settings. In general, you want these to be snug, but not too tight. You certainly don't want to damage the optic. And again, the optic mounting screws, if they don't already come with it, use just a little bit of a blue thread locking compound, a non-permanent compound, to make sure that these screws stay tight and that they don't back out. Okay, so now your optic is mounted, and you can set up your optic according to the manufacturer's instructions. You can see this one actually co-witnesses very nicely with my iron sights that I will now use as a backup sight. So thank you for watching Ruger Tech Tips. This has been how to mount a red dot optic on your Ruger Max-9 pistol.